From WDWNT Entertainment, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. What's up, everybody? Welcome to ParksCenter. I'm Rob Whiteside. I'll be your host tonight, and our panel consists of Emma Cooley.
Let's get naughty!
Jill Diffendahl.
Love it.
Hello.
Kamila Sanders.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
And Pete Carney.
Siva Co, everyone, and good evening.
Yes, good evening to everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We got a great show tonight. We're going to start with some breaking news that we heard about today. Last week, they said, hey, we're not going to do temperature checks anymore. I mean, you know, we feel like COVID's kind of like coming to an end, right? And then they're like, okay, no more temperature checks. Universal said, we're going to one-up you and we're going to take away the 6 feet distancing. Disney came in today and said, okay, we could take away the distancing. They posted this on WDWNT.com that the distancing requirements have changed. One thing in particular that I thought was interesting, and maybe we can get Pete to talk about in a little bit, is removed. Cars will be directed to park in every other parking space. So it looks like the parking situation is going to be a lot better very soon. Another thing that they changed this week or last week, some cast members no longer are required to wear the face shield. I'm not really sure I understood how any of that worked in the first place, which ones were wearing face shields or not. But all this looks like good news. Pete, have you seen any of this yet in the parks? Are you excited for any of this?
I'm very excited for all of this. The only thing I'm not excited about is I actually liked the way they were parking during COVID, every other space. You don't have people dinging doors right next to you as you're getting out. You have people with strollers and bags, and like, you open the door, and then you're hitting the other person's car door. I like the other space, and then all they did was just reset down to the other end of the aisle, and almost 90% of the people were out of their cars, and then fill in all those gaps. I think this is a genius way of parking cars. I think it would eliminate a lot of that crowding around certain spots. So I will miss the every other spot. As far as the rules, as far as 3 feet, I think it's outdoors and 6 feet in restaurants. I'm a fan of this as well. I think that, I don't want them to pull everything away too much. I want everyone to feel safe, but also some of the lines and queues for some of these attractions are just going so far beyond where they need to, and people aren't doing the 6 feet in a lot of these situations anyway, so you may as well as, I don't know. At this point, if you're outside and everyone's still wearing masks in the park, I think you're okay at 3 feet. I think a lot of the people, I'm hoping a lot of those people in this country are vaccinated and continue to be vaccinated. I know me and my close knit group down here are all vaccinated, so it makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, I think it's good to see signs of life coming back to the parks. Again, I want everyone's safety first, but to me, the less restrictions, the better the chance that we get more live entertainment, more shows back. I miss little things like Hoop-de-Doo. I want the Port Orleans to open. I want my Scat Cat back. I want all these fun things that I was so used to doing to come back to my life. Jelly rolls. So again, these I think are steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Jill?
Oh, snap. Jill is muted.
The mute!
You're on mute. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says you're on mute. I appreciate that it's starting to, we're starting to get to a point now where this is safe. I totally agree with Pete about the parking, though. I don't understand why they can't keep the parking the way it is. It's not like they're losing capacity. They're just spreading it out more. I feel like it makes things a little more efficient. I don't know. I really like the parking. But although I was also a victim once of getting scolded by a cast member because I accidentally parked in the wrong space and they were super unhappy with me. But whatever. I'm eager. What I'm most eager for in all of this is, I think honestly, I think it's too soon to get rid of the masks. I would like to see that stick around for a little while longer. Way too many people in this country are not vaccinated, are saying they're not getting vaccinated. I think for their sake, for everyone's sake, we keep the masks on for a while. But I would like to see some of that plexiglass in the queues and on the rides come down, because like going through the queue at Big Thunder Mountain, for example, and it's hot and, Pete was saying earlier that it's like 98 degrees down there today. Like that gets so claustrophobic. It's gross. It's sticky. It's uncomfortable. On the rides, it breaks up a lot of the sight lines. That plexiglass divider on Rise really ruins the ride for people in the back seat. That's what I'm most actually excited to see go away, is the plexiglass more than anything else.
That's going to be the last thing, you know that, right? That'll be the very last thing that goes away.
Yeah,
I know.
Just a reminder, Nick Lachey gets some money every time you guys keep saying 98 degrees. Just putting that out there.
98 degrees and rising.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Zhivago.
Here's to you, Nick Lachey.
Here's to that.
Kamala, we're looking at a lot of stories about Disneyland opening and all of the social distancing things they're putting in place out there, and at the same time we're seeing it starting to relax in Florida. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, honestly, I think Florida kind of feels like the leader in this. I feel like repeatedly public health professionals are starting to pretty firmly state that they think transmission outdoors is extremely low. I feel like they've even started to say there's questions about whether plexiglass can actually be detrimental, because it kind of creates this dead zone for the virus to stick. So I think it makes sense, honestly, the moves that Florida is making. I also think this could help increase capacity, because if you have less lines everywhere, you have more places where people could go, and so maybe more people can be let in. So I wonder if that kind of comes down the pipeline at some point too. I think Disneyland mostly just struggles with they're a little bit behind. I mean, WW has been open for a while. Disneyland just got open. So I just think it's about people getting comfortable out there.
That's a good point. So Emma, we'll start off with you on this next one. So we're going to talk about Halloween. The other day, they decided that there's going to be halfway to Halloween is a thing that they're going to do. And they started talking about it. It's a little later than that. But one of the things we heard rumblings of was there's going to be a not-so-scary Halloween party announcement. But what we got was the Disney After Hours Boo Bash at the Magic Kingdom. Or I'd like to call it a taste of not so scary, because I feel like this is just like a kind of a more watered down version of Not So Scary, maybe. Emma, have you been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party?
Not in a very long time. However, I was in Magic Kingdom on Halloween last year in 2020. I think this is great. I think it's one step to kind of testing the waters with these after hours events and how they're going to work, how popular they are, and what entertainment could look like. And I mean, that's kind of what makes me a little sad, actually, is that we're not going to have, the parade and everything that comes with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, but at least we're getting something with this event. The one thing that did make me a little concerned was seeing the Cadaver Dans listed specifically for the event. So I'm wondering if that's going to be an event only thing, or if they're still going to appear in the parks during the day, as like it did last year. So I'm excited about it. One step to these parties coming back, but I wish the full thing was here already.
Hi. I wonder, for me personally, I wonder if this is, so here's the thing about Not So Scary is in addition to the parade, which they don't seem to feel comfortable saying they're going to do yet, the other huge part of Not So Scary that you're paying that money for is special fireworks, which they have also not seem to express comfort yet in bringing back. So I wonder if they're not, because they want to announce this, because they want to start selling tickets, they are doing this as an after hours event so that they can get away with not having a parade and not having fireworks. And also, I think from a capacity and ticket sales standpoint, they would tend to sell, from my Not So Scary experience versus my after hours experience, I think they sell a heck of a lot more tickets for Not So Scary because there's just a lot more demand. It's going to be a lot, Not So Scary is going to be more kid heavy than after hours event. And so they're just kind of trying to play it cautious and saying, okay, we still want to be able to do an event. We know Universal is over there holding auditions for Horror Nights. We know that's going to go down. We've got to do something. Let's do something that we feel we could probably do now, knowing that Halloween is still 5 months away and things will theoretically, hopefully, be even safer by then.
Yeah. So, in my defense, I had a great transition between you and Emma. It was fantastic. Only I was on mute, so I was the only one that heard it. So, sorry for throwing it to you and not telling you that I was throwing it to you. Thought I did. Thought I had that all locked up. Kamila, any thoughts about this?
I just roll with it. It's fine.
I'll be honest, when I heard the news, I was actually really excited. Then when I saw some of the details, I just don't know that that's enough for me to get on a plane and actually head to Florida to go to. And I was at the last Mickey's Not So Scary, I think in October of 2019 was the last one. I was there Halloween night, actually. And I was also in the parks, Magic Kingdom that day. So Emma, I might have seen you. But I'm excited that it's coming back. I just don't know that for me it's enough. I hope Disneyland maybe has a version. We'll see, but it's a great step.
Have you been to Oogie Boogie?
Yes. I think Disneyland's version, I'm sorry, this is not a surprise, but I think Disneyland's version is so much better. I'm sorry.
It looks amazing. No, you don't have to apologize to us. It looks amazing. I want to go sometime.
If I can add one thing, I'll say less on the next topic, just in terms of this whole Boo Bash thing, is I just don't want Disney to get on this trend of, like, we saw that they never lowered ticket prices for the parks when they took away all the entertainment and whatnot. So now with the ticket prices for this, I mean, it's going to be a ticketed event, and yet what most people pay for is the fireworks, the Boo to You parade, or whatever parade they're running, and then, entertainment and meeting the characters and taking pictures of them. And some would say the lighter crowds as well probably factors into that. But those are the big draws. No one's going to this event for the free candy. Like, you can get candy anywhere. Like, for that price, you could just go spend $80 at a CVS and you can walk out swimming in candy. So I just really hope that the ticket pricing, and I just want them to come back to full form, Not So Scary. Because I think it's one of the most fun events out of all the after hours category events that are out there. So that's all. That's my little piece. Boo to you and you and you and you.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
And I feel like it's highly likely that the cavalcades they're talking about are probably just going to be floats from Boo to You. Like, I feel like that. I would bet money that that's what's going to happen. All they need to do to make me happy about going to this event is put the Maleficent Dragon float down the street at night. That is.
Yes.
I will name out my experience at Villains After Hours. Oh gosh, that would be great.
That's so good.
They could bring that. I feel like they could bring
one of the best stage shows at the Magic Kingdom.
Do it, Disney.
Yeah. But you know what, Pete? You're talking about the price. You're talking about the price. I think when you're paying for an after hours, it's a different experience than when you're paying for a party, because the parties are, you're like you said, entertainment, fireworks, parades. The after hours is almost like, hey, we've kind of closed the park and it's just for you. So it really does feel like.
But what's really the difference in ticket pricing for those events? What I'm saying is, you can't just be like, oh, well, since this works, we'll charge you $90 instead of $120 for $30 extra. I get parades, fireworks, personal meet and greets, special themed rides and overlays.
But Not So Scary. Not So Scary is way more crowded than an after hours event. Way more crowded.
It is, but also you're getting so much more. If I had to tell you how to wait, 20% longer in lines, but you got overlays on rides, fireworks, parades, Sanderson Sisters live on stage. And
I'm going to throw some shade on you calling the overlays from last year's Not So Scary overlays. Okay, they turned off the lights in Space Mountain, and they put one dude on the bridge in Pirates.
I'm just saying they did.
It's Space Mountain in the dark.
Calling that an overlay is a stretch.
First of all, but baby powder Pete is not.
We're moving on. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the Muppets real quick, and we're going to have some better discussion near the end of this. But we'll move on. We'll talk about that in post show, because I think we all have a lot of opinions about all that stuff. So, God, I love that sounder. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is Muppets are doing the Muppets Haunted Mansion. And when, again, they announced all of this on the same day because it was, quote unquote, halfway to Halloween. And there was this really cool trailer with Gonzo and Pepe. Pepe's my favorite. He's so awesome. Where, they're talking about it and they're teasing it, and there's really not much information about it other than Gonzo gets to spend the night in the Haunted Mansion. And so this is a Disney Plus thing. They're labeling it as a show, not a movie. So it's really going to be probably more like a Halloween special. But to me, what ties this into ParksCenter is that I feel like the more Muppet tie-ins we could have, like from Disney Plus to the parks, I want to see more park stuff on Disney Plus. That's where I feel like it lacks hard. I'm going to throw this one to Jill first. Are you excited about this?
I'm super excited about this. All of the Muppet specials that I've ever seen are, they're excellent. And so I think they maybe fell a little short with some of the shows from time to time. But for this to be a Muppet kind of Halloween special, which is exciting in and of itself, but then to take place in the Haunted Mansion, I'm so down for watching this. I love it. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it. I would love to see them throw some Muppety kinds of things around the mansion area in the park. Maybe they can pull out the puppets that they were using for Great Moments in History and recostume them and have them do like a little fun Halloween thing. That could be part of the Boo Bash. Disney, are you listening? Make a fun little Muppets puppet show for the Boo Bash. And then you can cross-promote Disney Plus. It's synergy. Do it.
When you said drag out those puppets and Haunted Mansion, I was picturing them laying in graves. I don't know why. I mean, it was just like super dark. I went right to the dark spot.
Maybe they could do this like instead of Nightmare Before Christmas overlay in Disneyland, it'll be a Muppets overlay in Magic Kingdom.
No.
I'd love that.
We don't want that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
That'd
sure.
be fun.
In Magic Kingdom, sure. Just don't touch Disneyland. Leave it
No.
No, I think this is really cute. Honestly, throw Haunted Mansion in there and I'm in. That's probably the thing that will make me watch it more than Muppets. But I know there are a lot of people who love the Muppets, so I'm excited they will get this crossover. And I just think it's cute and sweet.
Yeah. Emma, thoughts?
I mean, I love the Muppets. I love the Haunted Mansion. What could go wrong? I am really, really excited about this. Muppet Show is one of the things I watched as a kid constantly. So, yes, can't wait. Hope there's a Deep in the Plus episode on it, too.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Okay. Peter?
Emma took words out of my mouth. I love the Haunted Mansion. I love the Muppets. I don't see how this could go. I mean, it could go horribly, fantastically wrong because it's the Muppets. But this is going to be great. I'm so excited for this. And just like Rob said, I mean, anything to do inside of the Disney parks that is going to go to Disney Plus is basically all I watch Disney Plus for. Basically, right now, I just watch the Mighty Ducks, and I finish everything else involving the park. So it's about time I get some new programming on Disney Plus involving my favorite place to be, Walt Disney World.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also watch Cool Runnings, so...
Oh, of course.
You want to do the chant real quick?
Jamaica, we have a bobsled team. We have the Wonder Reese and the One Junior, the fastest of Jamaican sprinters. Come to Olympics. Okay, we're good.
We are very good.
This is great.
Okay, so next thing we want to talk about is, you know what? I feel like we've become this anymore. So,
that's a great graphic.
We talk about the barges a lot, and I think that Kamila and I both have a lot of hope that at some point they will not look like huge eyesores and there will be magic involved here. So they tested the water screen a little bit because we want to keep you posted on that. And then they did this. And then I was sad. I was sad. Like,
I'm with you, Rob.
They turn on the water and it's just sad. And then I thought, what could make this more sad is that there's a rumor now that Epcot Forever is coming back. That's the next thing. So I mean,
this is literally the definition of insult to injury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pete,
does anyone else feel like that test wasn't a test, but they're like, all right, we got everything sealed off tight. Run the water, we shouldn't see anything, and it just like sprung leaks everywhere. Like that's what it looked like to me. Like you just punched a bunch of holes in a balloon and then tried to fill it up with water, and then that was the barge. Oh man. I think, on a realistic note, I do believe that this is not how it'll look. I think they realize how ridiculous that is. It doesn't even look anything like the concept art. Yeah, this just looks. You know what this actually looks like? Like, it looks like the FDNY, like, in the East River, just like shooting off water.
Totally what I was thinking.
But
Yeah,
you know what?
Literally just a water pressure test, and also showing you where all those you want to call them spigots or water exits will be. I don't know what they're using for, fountain exits. But I mean, clearly some of those are on swivel heads, and we'll do different effects and go back and forth, left and right. I think this was just a water pressure test, and I really hope it was. I don't think this will be what you see. Go ahead.
It had. No, I was gonna say, like, it had to be a test. There's just no way. My issue with it, though, and I say this as a barge defender, why was it like during the day when other people could see that? You cannot do that. Like, we talk all the time about, like, you know, immersion and, you know, taking people away to this, like, fantasy world. Like, that was way too real. That was chaos. Save that for, and Epcot doesn't even open until 11. You have literally no excuse. The public should not have been able to see that. That's all.
Well, we have to go now to Jill with a very special announcement.
Yay!
We have a very special guest. The barge
What
is
is
very
that?
ashamed of itself. This is my taco barge wishable.
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
My handmade taco barge wishable. This looks bad. Everything you guys said is right. I'm sorry, barge. This is not good. And the fact that Epcot Forever is it. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry. I'm betting my money against our rumor being true. I don't think it's feasible. I just don't think it's feasible. I think it's entirely possible that they could play the Epcot Forever music and launch some fireworks. But that is not the equivalent of Epcot Forever coming back. Why? Like, why would they do that?
On fire.
How can you have another fireworks show happening while all this garbage is floating around and arms are flailing and water's flailing, and it's how can you have another fireworks show about? None of this makes sense.
Unless the kites are tacos, then I might be on board.
Well, I mean, what they're saying, though, is that the kites aren't coming back, most likely, if that happens. But, you know,
shoot off some fireworks, run around World Showcase, hand everyone actual tacos. That will make them happy and will actually probably cost less money.
Yeah.
True.
You know, Kamala, I'm like you. I feel like I've been trying to defend this thing all along. But when I saw this, it reminded me. Did you ever see something like this?
Oh my god!
Like the slip and slide things with the little fountain.
But that looks better.
I'm about to buy
That looks better.
I mean, that's just like what I pictured, because it's like they flail all around and they never work the way they're supposed to, and this is that on like $1 million scale. It's just it's a lot.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barge Defender. That's my next shirt, by the way.
And you have
TM.
Yeah, exactly. You have to credit Kamala at the bottom on that one.
Carousel of trademarks now.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
All right, so we got some more news that Disney Paradise Pier Hotel will be opening June 15th. And then we also heard that the Gateway, the super secret Disney California adventure entrance from the Grand Californian, will be opening up as well. You know, when I look at this kind of thing, I'm thinking, does that mean the parks are going to open sooner than later? And then we saw this announcement today, California on pace to drop their tier restrictions and capacity limits by June 15th, just like we had heard before. So I mean, you don't open a hotel for California locals. I mean, I guess if you're coming from Northern California, but it seems like that, and Kamala, I'll throw it to you on this first. It seems like that's promising news, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think they are getting ready to announce what really seems to be at this point the inevitable. I'm just wondering, like, where is the Disneyland Hotel? And when will we get news about that hotel reopening? But Paradise Pier is great. The Grand Californian, I just can't imagine paying what you pay to stay there and you don't even get some of the best perks right now, which is being able to like walk into DCA. I don't know. But no, I think it's great news. I think soon, very soon, we're getting an announcement.
Nice. Anybody else thoughts on the Disneyland Hotels opening? Jill?
Yeah, I'm excited about it because having stayed at Grand California and having that entrance, sorry, I totally just interrupted someone. Having that entrance back is really, really nice. And that was probably one of my favorite things about staying at the Grand California. And Napa Rose is delicious. Can definitely recommend that. Anyway, but yes, all good things. I am jealous that I can't go to Disneyland, but it seems like we might be able to soon.
You didn't interrupt me, Emma. I was on mute. All I want to say in response to Kamila's statement about paying for it, even though you don't get all the perks, is Disney did not lower the price of the Polynesian, and yet there's no monorail.
Very
and
true.
That's like,
good point.
That's just counterpoint there.
Well, that's Disney in general, isn't it? Everything that's happening, I mean, from DCA's
full
rebirth,
price, half the experience.
Yeah, when DCA...
They're like, we're not going to raise prices, but we're going to take the things you love away.
No, but when they remodeled DCA, there was hardly anything in there, and they still charge full price. Mm-hmm. When they demolished most of Hollywood Studios, they still charge full price to get in there.
I thought did you say DCA? That sounded like Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so
Very true.
This is pre-COVID. So during COVID, they're like, you're lucky to have a park open. We're not going to have character meetings, buffets, all those other things, but we're not going to lower your price. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that's anything new, but I agree with you. Like that's a bad thing. Pete, do you have anything else?
We have a glimmer of hope, which we'll talk about in the post show, which is that Festival of the Lion King has come back. But we'll save that for the post show.
Yes.
I can't discuss things I can't afford, and I can't afford to stay on property when I'm in California. Disneyland hotels are that big money. So if everyone's ever there and wants to invite me to sleep on their couch floor, I'm in. Sounds like fun.
Anytime, Pete. Anytime we have DVC points, you're welcome.
So it was a Sophie's choice for me whether we talk about the Lion King or this topic, and so I went Club Cool. I went Club Cool. Sorry, dude. I went Club Cool. I used to love the original Club Cool, the whole Ice Age thing with the caveman frozen in, and it was an experience, right? I mean, it was really cool. And then you get to the end of the line, you get to taste all this for free, and that was so fun. And you think free, but it's kind of like Pete and talking about the candy you run around and get. You're paying for it somewhere. So there is news that the infamous Beverly soda will return. So shout out to our Wigs member, More Beverly, please.
Hey.
Yes.
So so there's good news there. And then thank goodness they revealed that what the floor might be like. I mean, I was wondering, I was like, of all the things I could possibly wonder about, the return of Club Cool is, what are they thinking for the floor? Pete,
just like the floor of your elementary school hallway, there it is.
Totally.
That's exactly what it looks like every elementary school hallway. I mean, I'm really excited to talk about Club Cool. When I walk in, there's so many decisions to make, but I'm always like Hakuna Matata, and it's really exciting.
That's the wrong.
As you make your way around the circle of life of Club Cool, it's just a great place to hang out.
All right. So I'm gonna.
Which section? Which soda is your favorite?
Giraffe. No. Wait a minute.
Oh, this is tough. This is like Simba's choice.
So, Kamila, have you ever been to Club Cool?
Like a Pumbaa here.
It has been a while, but I actually am really excited that this is going to be coming back. And, I feel like it's one of those things, it kind of feels like a little bit of like Epcot insidery, like if you know, you know, and if you don't, you may have skipped it. But I think it's really fun, and I'm excited about this news. I think it's a great win.
Yeah, Patrick couldn't be with us tonight, but he's in chat, and he says, I love the floor. It's sticky, and I miss it. That was always the case, wasn't it? The floor was just so freaking sticky. They were always mopping it. And you know what? That just sounded like their problem, not mine, because I was getting free drinks. But Emma, anything on this one?
I mean, I think the details about the floor were cool, but that was kind of a really random thing to share, in my opinion. But I was actually thinking the same thing. I was like, why are they spending so much time on this floor where it's basically going to be sticky from all the soda? Yeah. Gross. But anyway, I'm excited that Club Cool is coming back.
Now, so they just recycle it. The Beverly goes down the grate, right back up into the spout.
That's actually how they make Beverly.
That is the true more Beverly flavor.
Jill, you remember the old one, right?
Oh, absolutely.
More Disney,
I loved the
more
old
family,
one. The old
more
one was
Beverly.
so weird and creepy. Like, you kind of went in there like, where am I? And you had to like duck down, and everything was like, you went in there because it was cold. That's the other thing. Like, the whole reason it was called Club Cool is because it was like you were in an igloo and it was cold in there. And the new Club Cool fell way short. I was not a big fan of Club Cool 2.0. I thought it was pretty anticlimactic after how weird and fun original Club Cool was. I think it's silly that like they're literally rebuilding half of Epcot, and the thing that Zach Ridley decides to share with us is the flooring in Club Cool. It's just, you probably have 8 million other things that people would be way more interested in than that. And yet,
well, you got to slowly release it. You start with the floor, and then a side of a light, and then who knows what thing they'll show next.
Seems like you got to have that foundation to build on. Way to go.
Yeah. Well, move. I mean, it's at least acknowledgement that it's actually coming back. I mean, I did hear it through a rumor through some website that it was coming, but it's nice to see that there's confirmation that it is actually coming back like we had hoped, and we're very excited about that. For our last topic tonight, I definitely wanted to talk about this because the virtual queue was being tested for Indiana Jones in Disneyland, which it makes sense. I mean, Disneyland right now, they're just getting their legs back underneath them. There's a lot of, this is one of the most popular attractions it has been since it opened. And right next to it is the Jungle Cruise, which isn't open right now. So they're testing on days, or they're using the virtual queue on days when the capacity requires it. We've got this for Rise, and I kind of hate it. So. Obviously it's necessary because you have all these people, and if everybody waited in line for Rise, they would be there until 4 a.m. on, the next day trying to take care of everybody, because the rule when I was a cast member was anybody who is in line when the clock strikes 9 o'clock or whatever time, you have to put them on that ride. So just to make sure that it, everybody gets a fair shake, nobody's disappointed because they've waited for an hour and don't get on. I get it sort of for Rise. Still hate it. I mean, we've been there where you're just like, you're waiting at the last second to try to hit that button and get the virtual queue, and then you don't get it. And they're putting them on the biggest rides because that's where you have to put them. But people who don't get to go as much as we do, we're spoiled. We get that. We know it. But these are the things you've heard from your friends, or like the cool attractions that you want to go to, and you can't get on them on these days. You can't even do standby on some of these things. So I want to go around. We'll start with Kamila and go all the way back around to Pete, because he's got some serious thoughts in his head. We'll see if anybody else says them first, and then you can say, I agree with everyone else. But I feel like Fast Pass has to come back, right? And at some point, or does it, or do we do virtual queue for everything? I'm upset.
Yeah, I will say I personally hate the virtual queue. The last time I was in Disneyland, it was my first time trying to get on Rise of the Resistance, and the process of, and this was, obviously they've improved it with you don't have to be in the parks to try for it, so you're not having to get there at like 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. And deal with the crowds and all of that, but I really hate it. I think it's stressful, it's not fun, it's hard to figure out. I can tell you, as someone who's been on the phone with clients just trying to figure out my Disney experience, not everyone is as comfortable with technology, but everyone really wants to try to do this ride. I think it's stressful on the cast members. I would hate to be in guest services right now. That's got to be really difficult. So I just don't like the virtual queue. I understand the necessity of it, but I feel like there's got to be another way. And I'm going to be honest, take a note from Universal on this one, and maybe think about like a pay to play. Let people pay $15 more to get a ride time. And that helps in a couple of ways, because in some cases you have people that go to the parks every day, every other day, who are also, able to get some of these, and maybe that, remove some of those people so that they're not doing it every time. I don't know, just think about something. And I will just say, I see a lot of people who really struggle with the virtual queues. I've known many families who, this was their big trip and they weren't able to get on despite, all their attempts. So there's got to be a different way.
Yeah, we're ignoring the buzzer. Emma, coming to you next.
So I actually kind of disagree with you, Kamila, on this one. I honestly think that the virtual queue is the way to go. No matter how much I love FastPass, and I think it was great that you were able to at least have 3 guaranteed things that you were going to ride with the short wait. I feel like that backed up the line a lot, especially in, busier times like the holidays or the summer. So I think this virtual queue would actually help. But I say that as in like the way that Rise is done should stay that way, as in you can do it before the park opens and then they have another time. But I think the rest of the rides should be done like it's done at Universal. So you have to be in the park, you have one, and then once you use that one, you can get another one. So that way it's fair for everyone. And I do understand that Disney IT is obviously great, and it's really frustrating having to use your phone for everything in the parks now, but I think that's the happy medium of having fast pass in a way so you're not having to wait in a physical line all day long, and but also having kind of like a standby, that flexibility to your day. So I'm a fan.
All right, Jill?
The thing that worries me about this, there's 2 aspects of this. I don't have a problem with the Rise queue. I completely understand that it's coming from a place of privilege and that there are plenty of people that get super angry because it is their big trip and they didn't get on Rise. I have had plenty of poor experiences trying to get on Rise. I don't know. I think it's a better system than making people wait in line 10 hours, personally. But that's my call about it. That's how I feel about it. I completely understand that other people don't look at it that way. The thing that worries me about what they're doing with Indiana Jones is 2 things. One, they're taking a ride you used to be able to re-ride if you wanted to, and now preventing you from being able to ride it more than once a day, which that drives me crazy. And they're also saying we're going to do this when capacity warrants it. So in the grand scheme of taking a note from Universal, there are lots of things that Universal has been doing that I think they're doing better than Disney. For example, their Mardi Gras celebration was A+, and put Disney's recent kind of phoning it in for festivals puts that to shame. But what Universal does not do well is the virtual queue right now, because sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, sometimes there's randomly standby. You can have a virtual queue time and then there's still a 90-minute wait. Like, they're not doing that well. And so for Disney to be like, hey, we're going to do this thing that Universal is doing and sometimes turn it on and sometimes turn it off, like it's not working for Universal, so why are you copying something that's not working well for your competitor? I don't know. And with Disney's inability to get their act together when it comes to the app and the technology, I think I have even less hope that that's going to work out well for adding rides that way, where it's like, well, what are you going to do? I do think there needs to be a solution of some sort for the fact that there are times where Rise goes through all of its virtual queue times and there is still capacity left at the end of the night that goes unutilized because they don't have a way to put more people on the ride after they've run through the virtual queue. That's a problem that needs to get solved. But outside of that, I think trying this sometimes yes and sometimes no thing with Indiana Jones is not the way to go.
Yeah. All right, Peter.
All right, I know we're way over time, but I'll try and touch on everything everyone said really briefly, because I do have some thoughts. One, I agree with Jill with the rewritability factor of Indy. I don't like the fact that they could take that away. If, let's say they did kind of like they did here, like 7 a.m. and 1 p.m., if you already wrote it in the morning and you want to go, or like she said, if there's a way at the end of the night where they had like the last 2 hours you can check in or even go up and do that, that's fine. Talking about fast passes, I really hope they bring those back. It would be more on Disney IT because you'd have to make sure you have a reservation for the day that you're booking fast passes. So it's kind of like there have to be ways to check that and make that happen. But I think fast pass, even though it makes a good point, it does slow down the overall ride wait time. I think it rewards the planners. And I think when you're spending all this money on a Disney vacation, whether you live locally or further away, I think and even when the fast passes were all gone and I'm just same day showing up to a park, I used to like having fast passes for some of like the B and C tier rides, you know? And I really hope they bring that back. I think fast pass was something that's very unique to Disney. And again, I like being rewarded for planning. As far as virtual queues go, I don't have an issue with them for new rides. Like if we're just talking about rides, also I think Kamala made great points as far as like its confusion level. I had a friend of mine, and he was here last week with his family, and he said, I don't have time to do it. It's going to be too much with the family and the kids. I'm like, no, dude, you stay at Caribbean Beach. I'm like, you just wake up at 7. Like you've been waking up every day at 6, and you can do it anywhere on Disney World property. Just hit refresh. If you don't get it at 7, then you won't get it, or you can try again at 1. And he tried it, and he got it for his whole family. He's like, thank you so much for telling me that because I would have never have done Rise if you didn't. So I think there's some confusion there. I do think Joe makes a good point that there have to be a way, even if it's like people who just know local-wise or anything else, that ride should be at capacity all day long, pushing people through. It's a ride that everyone covets. And I also think Kamila makes a good point that, and I hate giving Disney more reasons to be like, hey, charge for this too, because they charge for all these other extras. But if I was a family coming in from out of state once every other year, 3 years, 5 years, and I came down and I couldn't get that Rise at 7 a.m., there should be a plan B. I mean, we have fast passes for Club 33 all throughout this pandemic. So like we're already rewarding people who are paying extra for things. I mean, if they have to pay $50 for the family just to get them on between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., I'm sure a lot of them would probably do it just because they came all the way to Florida for this attraction. And what's $50 in the grand scheme of a vacation? And I think that would scare away a lot of the locals if they wanted to. But even me, if I wanted to ride with a family who's here, maybe they all got a boarding group in the morning and I didn't. I want to go ride with them. I would pay whatever the price may be. So maybe that's a solution too. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we just talked about. We'll talk more on the post show. And if you're not a Wigs member, you'll become one.
Well, and I want to say also, we have a ton of people watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you like what you're hearing.
Yes,
it helps us a lot. So please give a thumbs up if you're if you're watching right now. We really appreciate it. I want to say there is already a pay to play kind of a situation in California with Max Pass, and
Max Pass is awesome.
Something I was
Max Pass is wonderful.
Right, exactly. So
great.
Something I was willing to pay for when I would go out there, and obviously you guys did too. So it's one of those like, okay, it's $15. It's not the same price as a ticket like Universal, like the $90 kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem with Universal. They charge way too much, and I think Max Pass could charge even a little bit more, and I would still pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, and they did that.
Me too.
They were like, it's $10. No, it's 15. We were just kidding about 10. It's 15. But they also throw in, the photos. And so I think there isn't like, again, there's a plus to getting it.
There's a lot of benefits.
I'm okay with that but I think that a lot of us who have gone to the parks, and maybe I'm off on this, maybe it's just me, we go to the parks and there's a lot of times where you go in and you walk around and you kind of don't do anything because the lines are way too long, right? Mm-hmm. Right? And so
that's Hollywood Studios right now.
Yeah,
walk around. Absolutely. I have spent like 4 hours at Hollywood Studios and not ridden a single ride because of exactly that situation.
So I think
that if you had all my bartending friends.
Yeah, if you had Fast Pass, then you could at least go in and know that you were going to get 1, 2, 3 attractions, even if you had to pay for it. I hate to say that because it's been a nice free perk to have, but it's going to be something you're going to be willing to do so that you can get that. But virtual queue still scares me.
Can I do have the solution though?
Oh, perfect.
Disney, if you're listening, I'll give you my Venmo for this idea. Bring back the early morning magic hours, not the 1 hour, but the 3 hours that you had at Hollywood Studios. Bring that back for resort guests, include Rise, and everybody will be happy because you can get through that park when it's, pretty empty or just resort guests, just like when they had the early morning magic hours or whatever, I forgot what that was called, but in 2019, that like 3 hour block from 6 to 9 before the park opened, that was for resort guests only. That was wonderful. Bring that back. And I didn't come back after that.
Buses, you need some perk for people to stay on property.
We can
Right.
talk about this more in the post show, but in all of this talk about how we're easing restrictions and things are starting to go back to normal, bring the park hours back to normal, for crying out loud.
Amen.
It's ridiculous. Epcot opens at 11 a.m. What is that? Come on.
Sweet sassy molassie.
Oh,
There
whoa,
it is.
Whoa. We don't use that kind of language
Them's
on here,
fighting
buddy.
words.
Nope. Okay, well, that's a lot. And so thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you are a WIGS member, part of our Patreon program, we will see you in the post show. If you're not a member, please make sure to go to patreon.com /WDWNT and find out more about it. We would love to have you as one of our WIGS members. We love our WIGS. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. I know it was a lot, and hopefully we will see you again next Wednesday night. And otherwise, we'll see you in the post show. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Seabuck.
Jamaica, we have a bobsled, so we got the